All right, friends, it's that time again. It's time for Blaha video. Jason Blaha, the gym, lifting, recruiting, fitness gear slave himself, Jason Blaha. We're gonna react to Jason Blaha's video. Jason Blaha says, when Louie Simmons said, "Get strong with the lightest weight possible." Louis, I don't give a shit about Louie Simmons or who these people are. They're just a bunch of nobodies.
Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I thought I would talk with you guys and gals about a quote.
They're all fake lifters on drugs because their lifting failed. Their concentric lifting failed. They discovered they weren't growing, and so they faked it. And guess what? They continued in that fake behavior, lifting concentrically, taking a drug. So what do you think a drug can do? You think a magic potion drug, can force concentric exercises which don't build muscle to make them build magically out of thin air, broski, with my magic wand. Poof, bruh. You have to be mentally insane to believe that.
Louie Simmons said a number of times in seminars I heard over the years.
Louie Simmons is an asshole just like you.
And that was that he would try to recommend that you try to get as strong as possible with the lightest weight possible.
That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Try to get as strong as possible with the lightest weight as possible. Oh, watch him say bodybuilding. Oh, us bodybuilders, we don't lift light weights. And it ain't accessory, you fuck.
Now, that sounds like a contradiction when you have someone who literally believes in doing max effort on multiple exercises, like on in average 2 exercises every single week, right?
Yeah.
Because he's like, look, you take these exercises up to a 1 rep max, right? You go up to a 1 rep max. Now, of course, he permitted in some cases 2 rep and 3 rep maxes, but the idea is the same. Max effort is max effort. You know, so people hear that, and then they're like, well, wait a minute, what are you talking about? You have people go crazy as hell, right? You have people doing 700-800 pound lifts at the gym.
Look at these people, they're doing 700 and 800 pound lifts in the gym. Nobody in the gym is doing 700, 800 pound lifts. The only people that are lifting really astronomically heavy are steroid people because they're fucking mentally fucking stupid and ill. They're mentally sick in the head.
Every single week, talking about get as strong as possible with the lightest weight possible.
They never got strong. In bodybuilding, we get strong with the weight. We build our bodies with the weight. It goes together. We lift eccentrically, us bodybuilders. We do eccentric overload lifting. That's what bodybuilding is. We grow our body with the weight, not we live concentrically. Our nervous system gets strong at lifting concentrically, but the body's left behind, small and weak, so we're a small, strong guy. Get it? No, us bodybuilders, real bodybuilders, we're big, strong guys, and we're stronger than people that live concentrically. Want to know why? Because in eccentric lifting, you can move heavier loads, much heavier than you could concentrically. Thus, again, also, your muscles micro damage due to the amount of force or weight that is being pulled on the muscle in a lengthened position. Get it? So every time you get bigger, right? You get bigger, you get stronger. Get it? And so you add more weight to the concentric lift and you'll get bigger and stronger because it'll damage and your body will have to adapt by repairing and remodeling a bigger and stronger when you come back. So there is some truth when people say you have to when you get stronger, or when you get, no, it's not when you get stronger, you get bigger. When you get bigger, you get stronger. It's the opposite in bodybuilding. When we get bigger after we lift those weights, we get bigger, we get stronger. Thus, we lift heavier. And then we get an adaptation, and then we get bigger. And when we get bigger and we come back to the gym, we lift heavier. You see what I mean? But in concentric lifting, all these crazy lifters, they're all like, whoa, when we get a stronger, we get a bigger. But in bodybuilding, when we get bigger, we get stronger. But when they get stronger, apparently they get bigger. but they're never getting bigger. And then what do? Bulk diets, creatine, drink gallons of milk, getting inflammatory responses, lift every day like crazy in the gym, lift every day, be a lifting slave. That's why real bodybuilding is always going to be superior to concentric, like it says in NCBI. Concentric is superior to concentric lifting in every way, in strength and in muscle mass. It's superior, bro. I don't care what you say or Blaha or anybody out there. It's superior. We get bigger and we get stronger all the time. With every bout, when we come back, we get bigger and we get stronger and we lift heavier. And I don't give a shit what anybody says about their fucking stupid concentric lifts and all this fucking shit and all that. I don't care. I've been there in the past and I've done it. I don't have to keep doing it forever and ever. I'm not a lifting slave. You want to stay a lifting slave, stay there forever. Me personally, I'm not a lifting slave. I'm just making reactions to videos explaining the true science, the true lifting world, how it truly works, not the fake stuff, okay? Man, you get it, dude? You get it through your head, dude?
Till you realize he's talking about your supplemental work, okay? As he always said, max effort.
He thinks that bodybuilding is supplemental work. It is not supplemental work, and I'll explain it in a second. Let me hear
It's
what he
5%
said.
of our training, and he's always like 70% of your training should be, as he called it, special exercises, which means bodybuilding work. So what do you see me doing right?
So he considers bodybuilding work, this supplemental work, bodybuilding work, this is bodybuilding. The big four and everything else that you do is bodybuilding. Powerlifting is bodybuilding, but it's not just concentric lifting. It's eccentric lifting. We get bigger, we get stronger all the time. You understand me? Yeah, but you live concentrically, guess what? You don't get stronger. You don't get bigger and then you get stronger. You just get better at lifting. Your nervous system gets better at lifting heavier and heavier concentrically. That's it. That's all it does. That's it. But you didn't get bigger and get stronger. You got better at lifting concentrically. Get it? See what I mean? Now, I'm not saying there's like your muscles didn't get a little bit strong. They got strong because there's force weighing down on your muscles, but they shorten, they get smaller, so they get compact, so they can push that weight, that force. They're pushing force. See what I mean? That's the difference. Yeah. So you never got stronger. And you only got better at concentric lifting. You never got good at eccentric lifting. And eccentric is always going to make you stronger at concentric eventually because you take heavier loads eccentrically. Get it, and you build more muscle, get it? So you get more motor units proliferating through the muscle fibers, get it? And a bunch of stuff. And it's not supplemental bodybuilding because if you do eccentric work, it's eccentric overload. So it's obvious you're going to do all the weight. You're going to do full stacks of weight when you're doing all the cable machines. You're doing the entire stacks. You're not sitting there doing 30 pounds concentric lifting like these fools, concentric lifters. Wasting their time.
There. Pause incline with the barbell. Okay?
Yeah, whatever.
Notice it's all pause. It's a long range of motion.
Whatever.
That's exactly what he's talking about. Like I'm over here using 225.
Whatever.
And the best I've done on that here at the young age of 48.
Man, if I pull on Blaha's body, if I pull on it hard enough, his arms will rip right off. I can rip his arms off. Yeah, because he's got a weak body. I can fold him up and crunch him up and stick him in a suitcase.
I've done 10 reps before with that paused, right? That's what he's talking about. Or after this next set of little max effort stuff you see me do. You see me do some dumbbell incline work. I'm only using 75s. Now granted, here's a 505 box squat on a low box. So again, this is the contrast, right? You saw me doing a heavy triple on the bench. You see me doing some heavy box squatting in the 500 plus pound range, doing all that stuff. But then when we get to all the supplemental work, what's it look like? What's all that supplemental work look like, guys?
What's that supplemental work look like? Very heavy, very heavy. I don't do flies for my shoulders with 5-10 pounds or whatever. I do like a couple 100 pounds, 300 pounds for my shoulders. I don't do that. I don't do like 5 pounds, whatever. Look at what these big fucking people are doing. Even my rear delts, I go to the cable machine. I fucking do like 90 kilos on each side, crisscrossing for my rear delts at the back of the rear delts. It's better to do it on the cable machine as heavy as you could go, full stack. What's the point of doing dumbbells? The dumbbells, they don't work, man. You're just sitting there. It goes too much concentric work there. Go up and down. You know what I mean? Unless it's so astronomically heavy that you're just able to go a bit up and then down, let it drag on the muscle. Yeah, you could do that. But cables are better. They really pull them really hard.
Well, it's light.
See, he thinks supplemental work is light. No, concentric work is light, but that's not bodybuilding. I try to explain this to people. Concentric lifting is not bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is based on eccentric lifting.
It's light.
Because that's what builds bodies. What builds bodies? Eccentric lifting. Concentric does not build bodies. It gives you a better lift concentrically, but it does not build bodies. So that's not bodybuilding.
Throughout this video, in between all this heavy stuff, you'll see me doing presses with 75-pound dumbbells. Guys, my best bench here raw has been 365 pause.
So what?
Right, for a 2 count. So 75-pound dumbbells for still a chest press. Doing tricep extensions and stuff with like 65, 75 pounds.
Okay, whatever.
Right? Do tricep extensions, incline ones with 28, 25-pound dumbbells. Okay. Really? Front raises with a 45-pound plate, all that kind of stuff. Even through here, you'll see me doing some good mornings, like light good mornings for really high breaths with less than 200 pounds. Okay? There's a 600-pound deadlifter. Now, granted, I'm a master's lifter. If I was open, these things wouldn't be as impressive. But you guys get the idea. It's bodybuilding work. Okay, so perfect example. Take these dumbbells. This is what Louie's talking about. Taking a dumbbell, incline, bringing it down, pausing it, right? Getting a pause at the bottom, getting a good stretch, a good contraction, and just focusing on building muscle.
What is he mumbling about? You're not building any muscle. None of you are, man. Concentrically lifting.
Why?
Look, this is a concentric lift. Look how far he comes down. He goes to the top. Look how far he comes down.
Guys, we're not trying to be...
Right there. He stops right there. So this is concentric. Right? Okay, what's eccentric? Eccentric means starting way down at the bottom and then stopping right there and going back down to the bottom again. You don't go all the way up to the top. It has to be so heavy that you can't make it to the top. That's the point. That's the point. It's got to be heavier on the load. It has to be heavier on the eccentric, not heavier on the concentric. You understand me? So this is obviously heavier on the concentric, too light on the eccentric, and therefore there's no growth, zero growth.
Beat ourselves up. Okay? At the end of the day, this is a concept you see modern bodybuilding coaches today.
This is the problem with these lifters. They can't understand the difference between eccentric and concentric, and he doesn't even know what it does.
Are saying the same thing, but they've given...
How could you be a lifter for 30 years or 35, have experience for 30, 40, whatever years, and you don't know what concentric does from eccentric? Man, you don't know your ass from your face. What the fuck, bro? This is crazy. This is insane.
A special name.
The most important thing is Temu is giving it away for free now. Go.
The same thing, but they've given it a special name. They call it stimulus to fatigue.
Oh, they call it stimulus to fatigue. So you want to stimulate your muscles to fatigue like a marathon runner. They stimulate to fatigue running down the street, and then they glyco load.
Louie Simmons was talking about this 30 years ago.
He was talking about 30 years ago. Metabolic fatigue associated with concentric lifting. What's associated with eccentric? Muscle damage.
This is literally what he meant. taking a really light dumbbell
Yeah.
and just doing really high reps, slow, controlled, full ranges of motion, squeezing,
Yeah. So you can open a window for glycogen synthesis. Oh, cool.
contraction, doing stuff in the 10 rep range, 20 rep range, 30 rep range. Right? This is a normal
Yeah, but it's all concentric, no eccentric. Yeah.
part of Westside's training.
Sure.
This literally sounds like what a lot of modern bodybuilding coaches talked about. Stimulus
No, they're not bodybuilding.
fatigue.
Bodybuilding doesn't talk about stimulus to fatigue. Those are fake bodybuilders. That isn't bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is based on the concept of building your body big and strong. So which exercise builds your body big and strong? Eccentric. You want me to bring it up in Google again? And AI? Fuck it, man. It does everything. It builds your body big and strong. That's what it does. Eccentric exercises build your body big and strong. That's the principle of bodybuilding. What's the principle of bodybuilding? Bodybuilding, building your body. By bodybuilding, how do you do it? Eccentric exercise. That's what builds muscles. That's what builds bodies. Christ.
In other words, he's like the lighter weight won't beat you up the same. Like just take high rep sets to failure, right? Slow them down, control them. And again, keeping in mind, this is also someone who promoted dynamic effort work. So this doesn't make sense. A lot of people are like, what do you mean? All this dynamic stuff, he's talking about stretch reflexes. He's talking about exploding. He's talking about what are we doing now?
These people are all failures, and you'll fail along with them if you listen to them like Blaha. He's a failure.
What in the heck are we doing? What's this conversation we're having? And it confuses people. Confuses people because they didn't understand he was talking about 3 training modalities. Okay?
Whoa, he's talking about 3 training modalities. Yeah, okay.
He wanted 5% of your lifting to be all out heavy. We're talking straight up maxes. Oftentimes for singles. Then he wanted about 25% of the training to be dynamic work, lightweight against bands, against chains, using as much compensatory acceleration as you could use. But then everything else was about, let's just bodybuild. Let's do lots and lots of training volume, sets to failure, work these muscles from different angles, get a squeeze, get a contraction,
Get a squeeze, contraction, get a pump, and all that, all the fake stuff, right? Except for let's damage the muscles. Everything else, but let's damage the muscles eccentrically so we can build our body big and strong.
a pump, but use light weights.
See, the pump and use light weights. Yeah, in bodybuilding, we don't use light weights, man. We use astronomically heavy weights.
And just pump the shit out of everything.
See, he wants to pump the shit out of everything. And me personally, I want to damage the shit out of everything. See, in real bodybuilding, when we speak, we say we want to damage the shit out of everything so that our body can adapt by growing bigger and stronger. Get it? That weight will damage our muscles, right? Then our bodies will adapt by getting bigger and stronger. So when we come back and do the same weight, it won't damage with a repeated bout. So what do? We increase the weight. And then we do multiple sets and repetitions with slightly heavier weight now on the eccentric. And guess what happens? The weaker muscle fibers will get damaged. And now they have to adapt by getting what? Bigger and stronger. And so when we come back, we lift slightly heavier again. See what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, you get the idea.
Why? Because he's like, well, now we need to get big. Right? In other words, he's like, you
I love this guy. Now we need to get big by pumping our muscles up with air.
Big shoulders, you have a big bench. You spend some time really.
Yeah, got a big bench, but we need to make it match the body because the body's small. We got these big benches concentrically lifting, but the body's small. We have to make it look. We have to fake it to make it look like the part, like we big because we have a heavy lift. So here's the difference. Who do you think is going to be stronger? You have a guy that does the eccentric lifting, right? And then he shoved a bunch of donuts inside his muscles and shit, like carbohydrates and shit and everything, right? And he blew up, bulk dieting, whatever. Then there's the guy that does eccentric lifting, and he keeps getting bigger and stronger. His body keeps remodeling these muscles, more fibers, bigger and stronger, and he goes heavier on the eccentrics, keeps going heavier and heavier and heavier. He gets bigger and stronger with real muscle. Who do you think is stronger? The guy that does eccentric lifting, or the guy who did concentric lifting? He got his nervous system strong, lifting a heavy weight, but his body stayed the same. He never built any muscle. He tried to fake it by putting carbohydrates in there, blowing up and shit, and some inflammatory response. Who do you think is going to be stronger? Who do you think is going to be physically stronger?
Building your triceps, you work your triceps from 3-4 different angles, with cables, with dumbbells, with chains, with bands, with machines, whatever you could find. Work all those angles.
Yeah, bands and chains, but the chains are going down late in the eccentric. It's going down light. That's the difference.
Pull the hell out of those triceps. Same thing with your back. You like, pull-ups, rows with dumbbells, rows with barbells, right? Machines, lat pull-downs, pull-up shifts, whatever you have to do. Get in and just build that back.
Get in and just build that back. Just get in there and build it. It's gonna magically build. It's got a magic wand, broski.
And the reason for the light weights, so that you can recover, so that you're not.
The reason for the light weights is so you can recover and come back and be a lifting slave, endurance lifting slave, performance endurance lifting slave. Yes.
Beating yourself up because again he understood. We only need a handful of reps. Your body can only handle a handful of really heavy reps every week.
Sure.
And once you reach that threshold, it's no longer about lifting heavy. All you're doing is destroying your recovery.
Oh.
At that point, it becomes about getting in and just building muscle.
Getting in and just about building muscle. So it's all about getting in and building muscle, but you're not building muscle. Concentric exercises do not build muscles.
Literally just body.
And again, the reason why is because you're eccentric. You're not doing eccentric overload. So when you're doing concentric lifting, when you lower the weight eccentrically, it's light. You're adapted to it. It's too light. Get it? You're too busy concentrically lifting.
Building. And you want to note that Grant, some
See the weight here? The weight that went up was the same weight that went down. And for a muscle to adapt to that weight, the load has to be heavier going down at least 1 or 2 times more than that. And so this is failure lifting. Failure.
are fat, but you take away the ones who were fat at Westside, they look like bodybuilders. Look at a lot of the shirtless things. They look like off-season bodybuilders, like pro bodybuilders.
They look like bodybuilders. They look like a bunch of fake bodybuilders with fake strength. That's why they get injured, all these people. They get injured and then they drop off, whatever. Even Blaha has got so many injuries, getting injured all the time. They all get injured because they're weak. They have weak bodies, man. They're weak. Fucking. They couldn't punch their way through a paper bag, bro. I've seen real bodybuilders that do eccentric exercises in the past, like myself and other people. You could punch right through a punching bag. That's how strong you are. You build your hands and your forearms and your arms and everything. You build them so strong with so much muscle that the amount of force that you exert when you punch goes right through the fucking punching bag. That's the idea. That's the point about getting stronger. See what I mean? I don't know what Blaha's doing here, playing with the weights.
Why? Because they trained like them with the same idea. Volume.
They trained like every other fake bodybuilder. Eccentric exercises failed them, so they took drugs. And they continued in that behavior, and they faked it. And that's why they have to stay on the steroids, because they keep failing by doing concentric lifting, and that doesn't build muscles. Had they started doing eccentric lifting like real bodybuilding, then they would have built muscles taking the drugs. But they never did, and neither does Blaha. That's why Blaha will never build a muscle, because concentric exercises are not associated with muscle growth. You understand me? Zero.
volume. Chase.
You need to drill that in your dumb heads. That concentric exercise does not build muscles. Get it, man? You get it?
Stimulus, keep fatigue low, build the hell out of everything. That was
Easier said than done. How do you build them? I know. Concentric lifting, right? And if that doesn't work, we got a terkesterone for you, creatine, GO2 max, and fucking SARM, steroids, and everything else. Yeah. Okay, whatever.
the idea, and it worked.
Yeah, you know when they say newbie gains, what happens is this. So you come in the gym the first time and you lift this weight, right? So your body obviously is unaccustomed to lifting that weight going down in the eccentric. So it gave it to you the first time. Definitely. You got this damage and you got an overload of these nuclei. Of course, to synthesize proteins, support further muscle growth, whatever. Then you come back. Now your body has repaired and remodeled a lot stronger. So it needs astronomically much heavier weight going down now, way heavier than the last time, way heavier in the eccentric, but you're not doing that. You're going very heavy on the concentric, but it going down, you're kind of not really going all the way down. You're kind of like this, playing with the weight, but you're mostly trying to force it up to the top. And really, you're just kind of foregoing the eccentrics. And even when you do them, you just don't do them properly. There's not going on there. It's adapted. And so you say, I reached the newbie gain limit, my genetic limit, or I'm a hard gainer. I can't gain anymore. And that's what you do. You fabricate this. You make it up. Because you failed, because you didn't understand what bodybuilding is about, eccentric exercise, overloading the eccentric. You don't understand. You get it?
Right? He was basically talking about stimulus to fatigue in bodybuilding.
There's no stimulus to fatigue in bodybuilding. We don't do that in real bodybuilding. We do eccentric exercises, you fool.
Big work. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say.
Now you understand why this goof is failing and everybody else? I'll see you in the next video. Tell what you think about that. Like, subscribe, support the channel. Too much time on this.